Mark from DerbyWars, and we're here with Ed Peters making the final four of the $25,000 head-to-head championship on DerbyWars. And Ed, congratulations, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me.
So we started with 64 entries. We're down to the final four, and got to be pretty excited about it. And you said we talked a little earlier that head-to-heads are still kind of new for you, so you got to be pretty excited about this success.
Yeah, it's exciting. The whole format is so unique, and like you just said, I think I've played in, maybe 10 head-to-head matches since I've joined Derby Wars, and I think maybe I've won one. I mean, it was kind of brutal, so I just avoided them altogether. And but I couldn't help myself when I saw this format in the layout, and I'm like, I just have to try to discipline myself and figure this out because I don't want to miss out on playing in a tournament like this.
Well, terrific. So you're 4-0. That's all it takes to get to the final four from 64. It sounds easy, but you've been remarkably consistent in your games, and how has it worked out for you overall?
Yeah, it's I mean it's worked out well so far. The strategy that I've used is more to avoid making big mistakes and not trying to get too cute and too clever, and just kind of pick horses that make sense and just try to string a few of them together and hope for the best.
Yeah, and you were saying earlier that in a bigger contest, sometimes it's finding that price or that bomb that's going to vault you to the lead. But you said at head-to-head, it's almost reverse, like you mentioned, not being wrong or having those a couple of favorites that you can count on that'll kind of chunk away $6 and $8 here and there.
Yeah, exactly. In the bigger contest, not being wrong a handful of times isn't going to be enough to beat 98 competitors. But if you're only playing against one, it's more about not being wrong. You don't have to necessarily be right at all. You can be right once in 12 races with some 4 or 5 to 1 and, chip away with a few place hits. And next thing you know, you've got $38, $44. And, depending on what your opponent's up to, that is typically going to be enough.
Yeah, and just looking at your scores, I mean, you started with $36 in your first round, $30 your first weekend, and then you kind of heated up this weekend a little bit with $55, and then the top score on Sunday was $69. But not massive scores, but definitely consistent to get you the 4 wins.
Yeah, the first two matches, let's see, the 10 races, so they were actually negative ROIs. For the first two matches, and they were still enough to win. And even the better scores in the following week, there was a couple extra races to work with, but they just barely went over they barely showed a profit as far as ROI goes. So again, you don't have to, in 12 races, you don't have to hit $100. 40, 50, just breaking even is gonna probably be enough in most cases.
Yeah, and it's definitely a different format, and players really like it. We got a ton of great feedback when we did it in March, and that's why we wanted to bring it back. And it's definitely a different emphasis when you're not trying to pick long shots every time and just being consistent and picking winners. And so what's it like being up against one opponent all day? Does it kind of frustrate you a little bit, or does it just kind of depend how the game flows?
It sort of depends a little bit on how the game flows. I think it's easier in a way to sort of handicap the way a person handicaps as opposed to a large group of people handicapping. And if you go through and look back, you can kind of tell the types of horses a person might take, which is helpful if you can have a little bit of a lead or even a little bit of a deficit to know and have an idea of what they're going to play. Like for instance, my match on Sunday, I believe, against Bad Kenny. He had been playing what looked like just overlays all day long, regardless of what they looked like on paper. 3 to 1s that were 8 to 1, 5 to 1s that were 10 to 1. And in the last race, I had enough of a lead, maybe $30, but there was one horse that looked okay on paper that stood out as an overlay. He was 10 to 1 in the morning line, and he was 20 to 1 with about 3 minutes to post. With a $30 lead, that's the horse that I picked, thinking that there was a good probability he would take that horse. And sure enough, he did. So it was a block on a horse that was 20 to 1. It didn't matter anyway. The block was irrelevant because the horse, I think, finished 5th or 6th. But the idea that I had gone through and handicapped sort of how he handicapped gave me a little bit of a leg up there.
No, that's great, and that's the way to do it. And obviously, if you can block in the last race and close out the win before the gate breaks, that's the way to do it. It's even safer, and you don't have to wait till the horse runs fifth.
Yeah,
Um,
you just gotta hope they open the gate and he goes because you don't know who they have as backups, right?
oh, that's true too. Yeah, you need him to run. Yeah, I don't want that alternate to come up behind you.
Yeah.
Well done. And so you've got down to the final four. Now you're facing Mark McGuire. What do you think about Mark? Have you looked into his tendencies at all and how he plays?
I really haven't. I know his name from being on the leaderboards, and I know a ways back when you had your first $100,000 game, you did like a list of all the players and sort of some of their accomplishments over the course of the years. And I know that he's been doing this for a long time. He's been very good for a long time. So I'm sure I have my hands full.
He's a very good handicapper, so it'll be a great match. And you've had certainly a great year in Derby Wars. Won two NHC spots on Derby Wars. I think big $15,000 Saturday game we were talking about that you won this fall, and so no surprise for us to see you in the final four. So well done. And I did want to ask you. It was on Saturday in the Sweet 16, and the last race of the day. So you were in second. You made a close in the last race with the Christophe Clement horse, 3-1, gets up for the win. You collect about $13-14. And what were your thoughts there on playing that horse?
It just seemed like a very obvious horse to me. I expected that horse to go off as the favorite, and I knew it was a tight match, and there was really no other direction that I intended on going. So that's who I played, and I just the horse seemed very logical to me. And if I got blocked, I got blocked. But that was the horse that I wanted, and they really, had I been chasing more than $3, had I been chasing, $15 or something like that, then I would have had to clearly go in a different direction. But being as it was with a small deficit, if I wasn't blocked, I knew that second place, running second in that race would probably also be enough.
Yep.
Since I didn't like, the other logicals, it just only made sense to use that one.
Yeah, and it was just real interesting on Saturday where four of the matches came down to under $6 and or $10 or under, and only one of the leaders actually took that horse, which won the race and paid about $13. And yourself and two others were able to close from behind and get up at the wire with that horse in the last at Gulfstream. So that's what makes these head-to-head games so interesting. Is you never know how the strategy is going to play out, and it can play out differently in every game too.
Yeah, the nature of the head-to-head games makes them stay relatively close, it seems, throughout. I think my second round match, I think we actually swapped leads 5 or 6 times through races 2 through 7 or 2 through 8, where I had a lead, then he took a lead, then I had a lead, then we went back and forth for a ways in that one. And there were races that started to overlap, which made it a little tricky. But the nature of the head-to-head matches, you don't want to play yourself out of contention by swinging for the fences and coming up with goose eggs while your other guy plugs along with 10, 12, 11. Next thing you know, you're in deep waters.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's cool. That's a nail biter coming back and forth, and even better to come out on top. So you were saying, you've had a great year playing contests, but you said you're relatively new to playing contests the last couple of years. And how did you make that transition of getting into playing more contests?
I just I found out about the website, and to be honest with you, I think the very first tournament I played was the 2013 Breeders' Cup. You had a high stakes game that I just wanted to get involved and try it out, and it went well for me. So I reinvested some of that winnings and just sort of, I got pounded there for a while, but I just kind of regrouped. And, when spring hit, I decided that I wanted to try to play in more contests. And at that point, I really didn't even know about the NHC, what it was. I recall emailing you after winning one spot, wondering if I could try to win another one, or if I am just, it is what it is,
Right.
or I really knew nothing about it. I didn't know anything about the tour. And now that, we're months beyond that, it's exciting. The prospects going forward of playing in tournaments more consistently and trying to become more of a fixture on the tour and expanding things a little bit.
Yeah, that's terrific. And you were saying that you feel like contests are a little bit of a wave of the future in racing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It seems to me that in the computer driven age where graphics and um, in the technology driven, there's less, other than the big meets and the big racetracks, there's less money going through the windows. It's just not as exciting as playing in a tournament where the goal isn't on a race to race to try to make 100 or 200 or whatever the amount might be, but I find sometimes that you're more enthralled with the winning of a tournament than you are what comes with winning, whether it be entries or financial gains. It's really about the competition and about winning.
Yeah, that's great. So it's the thrill of victory, and then obviously it's a nice accomplishment to beat your fellow players, especially when you're playing against some really good players.
Oh, exactly. I've had my wife ask me, well, if when we get near the end of a tournament, I need this horse and I'll win. I need this horse, and she'll be like, well, how much do you win? I'm like, I don't even know. I have to take a look.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
It's something. It's a good prize. So we'll keep going, keep winning. Good luck in the final four. Two more wins, and you could take home the $10,000 first prize. So good luck with that, and then good luck at NHC. We'll see you out in Vegas. Derby Wars, we did 11 NHC spots this year. You've got two of them. So Ed, good luck out there and represent us well out at the NHC in Vegas in January.
Oh, great. Thanks for everything, Mark. And yeah, it'll be fun. This weekend's certainly going to be a blast. And out in Vegas will be a blast to finally meet some of the people that I've been going toe to toe with for the past 6 months and start to put some of the faces with the names and vice versa and just get to know some of these guys on a not an internet avatar level.
Yeah, no, it's great. Great meeting you as well, putting a face to a name, and good luck. Heads up with Mark on Saturday, and you guys will get to meet out in Vegas regardless. So let's see who's congratulating who in January.
Hey, thanks, Mark.
All right, thanks a lot, Ed. Take care.